Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Clinic Talk podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Viktoria Franco. She's a physical therapist in New Jersey. Hi, Victoria. How are you doing today?
Hi, good morning, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited actually to be here because I've heard a lot about your podcasts and I've listened to all of them. And I'm very excited that we have a place where we can kind of just share information and knowledge, and it's just a great place to be in. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for being on our podcast. So I'm glad you heard good things. We're definitely excited to talk to entrepreneurs like yourself and share their journey of how they became a therapist and a practice owner. So if you don't mind, just let us know why you became a therapist in the first place.
So, um, Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Viktoria Franco, and I am a physical therapist. Didn't know that I was gonna be a physical therapist. Some people go in with a big plan. I didn't exactly. Um, my mom is actually a physical therapist, but that's not the reason why I went into it. Uh, I'm a very sporty kind of person. I always have been. I have been a competitive swimmer my whole life, so exercise has always been kind of a part of my life. And I went into PT school, which was very difficult. The schooling itself is very difficult. I did not anticipate how difficult the actual medical program is. It's a clinical medical program, and I learned a lot throughout the program. And years later, I graduated, I sat down for the boards, and I began my journey as a PT. So from there, I worked in many different settings. I was in an outpatient clinic for about 7 years in Brooklyn, which was, I'll revert back to that because this is kind of where I got all of my blueprints for what I'm doing now. I worked in a hospital setting. I worked in a intensive care rehab setting with vent patients, which was very challenging as my first year as well. And then later on in life, I went into home care and different fields of home care, not just geriatrics. I also did a little bit of pediatrics. So I worked in every setting you could possibly think of. So finally, yeah, that was in New York, and I'm still affiliated with New York. And now I'm also in New Jersey, so I'm spreading the love here.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Victoria, for sharing that. So I have a similar experience as well, where I went into every different setting just so I could find kind of a passion or niche where I wanted to be. So worked just like you, went to different settings, even home care. It was adults and pediatrics. I think it allows us to grow as a therapist and as a person as well, because you learn about yourself and you meet different people, not only your colleagues but also patients, and I think that changes you as well, makes you a better therapist and person. And I think it's one of the great dynamics of being a therapist because you're exposed to different settings. I know with school, as you said, it's challenging, right? School was not a walk in the park, right? We had to go through many things. Even though I'm an OT, I know PTs and OTs were, always kind of working together. And I know the schooling is very similar, where, I don't know if your program did cadavers. We had to do cadavers, and that was like, wow, I did not think I would be doing that. So yeah, I think, yeah, you guys had to also do that in your school.
Class, yep. Yes, actually, my first semester, I was brought into the cadaver class, and we were partnered with Switch. And they said, "This is the person that you're working with." So there was a cadaver per four, a group of four, and that was your person that you dealt with. The face was covered, of course, and you started from upper body to lower body, and you went through every piece from, let me not get graphic, but from the skin to the every layer. And that was you. you walked into things that you I mean, going from just basic college, right? You didn't have to do any so it was a mind-opening experience for sure.
Yeah, and as you said, you didn't think this is where you're gonna be, and here you are. You know, you went through schooling, you went through careers, and you have your own business. So it's awesome. And I know,
You learn to have your lunch during cadaver lab too, because it's of the essence, and the life was tough time leader, but it teaches you how to, time management is huge. So, be
absolutely,
yeah.
it becomes part of you, right? And that helps you on your journey through either your career or business ownership and beyond. So definitely grateful for having these experiences in schoolings and all the field works and actually being exposed to different settings. So definitely appreciate that, Victoria, sharing that you worked because I know a lot of therapists out there, they do the same thing except they can't find their place, right? It's one of the reasons we do this podcast is because we want to show others that it doesn't mean that you're not going to be a business owner just because you're going from one setting to another, right? It takes time,
Yeah.
it takes dedication and patience. So yeah. So next question for you, Victoria, is why did you decide to open up your own practice? So you mentioned you're in Jersey now. Did that have anything to do with it?
It did. It did. Coming from busy New York, um, especially Brooklyn, New York, it's very populated there. So, you have your the home care, for example, that I was doing, and the companies that I was contracted with, everything was kind of in the same area, the same vicinity. So, I came to Jersey, and travel time is a very big uh, it's a problem because going from one place to the next is you have a longer period of time, you have more driving. So the amount of people that you're seeing per day is definitely less. So there's some I don't want to say negative aspects because they're not. It's just finding how to maneuver these aspects. So it was very different because from state to state. And also here just the way that you as a business owner you have to find your population so it was a challenge trying to find a way to find these patients because now you're on your own and you have nobody to feed it to you. You have nobody to, no companies that you're contracted with. You're on your own. So that was the difficult part trying to find your clients and then having your clients want to stay with you and stick with you. Um, so that was one challenge.
Yeah.
I think also here in the States specifically, um, it's not a very popular home care is popular, but being a sole mobile outpatient clinic is not a popular thing here. I'm not sure why, but it's just not something that I've came across. Very, very little amount of probably because of the driving the time, I assume. Overall here, most people, they get discharged, they will go to a rehab, and after a rehab, they're sent home maybe with a little bit of home care, and that's it, and, from there, you kind of have to figure it out, and that was the hardest part.
Yeah. Okay. No, thanks for sharing that. So it sounds like in New Jersey, everything is widespread. So you have to make it takes you a lot longer to get to patients as opposed to in New York where everyone can be close together. So, so yeah, it is a challenge. Yeah. And how do you manage your time, with that? So if you do have two patients that are kind of, in a different zip code, that could mean, an hour of driving probably, right?
So the first thing I learned when I got to Jersey is everybody measures in miles. They're like, "Well, how many miles? It's only 2 miles away." Meanwhile, the 2 mile is like a totally different area, a different you know, meanwhile in Brooklyn, everything's like, "Oh, 5 minutes, it's a 2-minute drive." So that was the first thing that I had to relearn was like in the miles. That was the new talk. So yeah, here, time management is very important, of course, but it's again back to finding the clients because over here, one 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 doctor doesn't work for, like, one specific area. Their patients are sp all over the place. It's even the doctors. It's not they don't work for, like, this is the area doctor, no. They work with many different clients. So that's the toughest part here. So as far as scheduling, I mean, you just have to kind of you sit, you map it out, you see what's the quickest route, because traffic here is not the issue. Brooklyn traffic's the issue. Here, that's not an issue. But you have to map it out. You have to sit down and you have to and then you have to remember everybody has their own schedule, right? When they're
Yeah.
when they eat their breakfast, what time they're gonna have somebody to be there with them to help them dress them, to put their clothes on, to be ready. It takes time, especially for the adult population. These are all things that you have to consider. Some patients go to bed at 5 p.m., right? And they're up at 2 in the morning. So my morning and their morning is very different.
As the right. Yes. Oh, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, absolutely. So on top of having to manage your own time, you got to manage your patient's time as well. So, and I love what you're doing as a sole practitioner, doing your own mobile thing, right? So, and I think that's important also for others to understand that you can do it too. So everyone is in a different area, right? All over the states, and if you have a passion for treatment, especially in the home, right? You can do this. And do you treat only adults, or do you do pediatrics in the home as well?
So here in Jersey, it's a little different with pediatrics. I can treat adults and pediatrics. For me, it's not a specific. It's not a limitation. However, I focus more on the adult population. It's just how where I'm at. Just my surroundings is more like that. Uh, for pediatrics, here people choose to go to a center-based clinic. That's kind of their choice. But also, I think education plays a very big role in a more I wanna call it suburban. I hope nobody says, "Oh, you're in Jersey, not suburban." For a city girl like me, it is suburban. For a more suburban area like here, um, people are not very, educated in the fact that you can have services, you can have all of this stuff to the house. Um, so I don't think it's very there's not a lot of education. Even coming from the referring sources, I don't think that they're very educated on the availabilities of services that can be provided, except the early intervention, which they also have that here, but that's that's its own that's its own category.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, education to the community is important, right? So you have to educate the doctors and your networking about what you do, so you can build your own brand. What types of networking have you done? And I'm sorry if I didn't ask before. How long have you been in your own private practice?
So in my own private practice, I have been resilient body physical therapy has been open for 2 years. So it has slowly grown. The past year, especially, has definitely, you know, positively and very quickly. But the first year was definitely a struggle. So we are total for 2 years now.
Okay. Right. So on that, how did you how did you manage kind of putting your name out there, right? So I could imagine, moving to a new state, right? Opening up your business in the beginning, as you said, was challenging. So how did you figure out how you're going to grow your business? And it sounds like you eventually found out, if you're, the last year you have been picking up.
So it's very different here because I didn't know anybody. I don't have any connections. So I started, trying to do my own marketing. I, tried to get in touch with different offices, see if I can get referrals, but it wasn't what I thought it would be. It was very difficult. I was getting here and there something, but again, in very different points, like a 30-minute, 40-minute drive one from the other. So it wasn't at all lucrative. Um, and basically I started with whatever I was given and I didn't really say no to anything. And since then, it has been basically word of mouth. I have not done any marketing, n- nothing. I mean, it's been word of mouth. My Yeah, I mean, it's hard because you have to be 100%. You can't just give basic treatments. You walk the people. You have to tailor the treatment. You can't just do a basic treatment because, what makes me more different than you going down the block to a big franchise. So
Yeah.
you really have to be on your A game. You have to be in this field specifically. It's not just being you're not just being treating them physically, but there's also a big psychological component. So you're dealing with so many different people, some motivated, some not motivated, some, mm, you know, questioning, what is this? Is it going to work? Who's this person coming to my house? Um,
Yeah.
so you're really dealing with a lot of people. So if I just came in just like you come to a clinic, hi, 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 it's not gonna work. So there's a lot of effort that goes behind it on a personal level as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely appreciate your unique story here because usually I talk to a lot of people and they've been in the same town forever, right? So they already have their networks and connections and everything. In your case, you had to build everything from scratch. Not only connections, but you actually had to learn the area because it's a huge lifestyle change, right? Going from New York City to New Jersey, right? So you had to manage a lot. So definitely kudos to you to
Thank
finding your path, getting to where you are. So a few more questions
you.
I have for you is, do you only deal with insurance, or do you only deal with cash, or do you do a mix of both? What does that look like?
So I deal with uh just one insurance and I do not take commercial insurances right now. That's another component of uh, uh, you know, holding your patients, not just providing good treatment, but also, the payment. How are they going to pay for their services, especially people that really need it? It's depending on the area, depending where you're at. You know, I would love self pay. I don't know if it, for most elderly people, if that's necessarily the route that they would go because just of kind of how, age and nature,
Right.
but, so that's also challenging. So for now, that's all I'm taking, because it is overwhelming to be your own front desk, to be your own, you know, cheerleader, to do your own paperwork, to do your own learning your own EMRs and doing all that stuff. So it's a lot for one person. So for now, I'm just sticking to one little part and that's all I do. Maybe in the future, you know, I'll do one or two commercial insurances. For now, I'm staying out of that, and I don't think that that's where the trend's going, even in the, um, in the PT, OT world. The trend is in a very different path, because we are very underpaid for our services in general, um, and especially for the amount of, uh, knowledge that we do have in the fields, um, you know, it's self-pay is really where everything is going. But again, you have to find what's that population that's really gonna do the self-pay. So, to answer your question, for now, just one insurance and maybe some self-pay.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you got to find what works, right? And not only for your patients, but also for you. And you mentioned you do everything for your own clinic, right? So you are, as you said, your own cheerleader. You're the therapist. You do the marketing. And do you also do your own billing?
Yes, so I use HelloNote, and I'm very, very happy with HelloNote. I actually did use Hello Note. I did use 4 or 5 different EMR systems just for outpatient mobile physical therapy that I used to work for before contracting with the other companies, and also the outpatient clinic, including that one. So I've used many, many different EMR systems. And I've always liked Hello Notes, and specifically right now for my line of work, it is very seamless. It is very easy. They have um, phenomenal options. I get everything in one place. I get my facts in one place. I do my billing in one place. It's very, very user friendly. So I've been with them for 2 years, and I was happy with it. And we'll just go on
You're
with it.
happy, that's it. That's all that matters, right? You wanna be happy, with the system.
The other EMR systems, there was just so many tabs, and it took so long, and, it's maybe it works for somebody else, I don't know. For me, it does, it worked, and also financially, again, everything goes down financially. EMRs are expensive, so you have to find what works for you and your clinic. I'm a sole provider, so it works for me, and I'm happy
Awesome.
with it.
Appreciate that, Victoria. Yeah, and I think it's important, especially when you're running your business, to find the tools that work for you and speak to you. So Hello Note does try to be that all-in-one system because it was truly created by therapists that used it for their own clinic, like myself, right? We used it for our own clinic, and we want to stay true to the therapists who use it because we are those therapists, right? We don't want to increase prices when we don't have to, just to increase our profit, right? Hello Note has a different model where the profit that it makes goes back into the product, and that's what we want to do, right? We don't want someone to say, okay, let's make more money, right? More money is always good, but we want to build a community and network, and essentially this helps patients, right? And it's the reason we went into school to become therapists is to help patients. And one way we can do that is to make an affordable all-in-one EMR system that allows therapists to actually do their own business, do their own notes, do billing, and
Right.
not have to worry about paying bills and paying themselves, right? So that
And it's a
shape that.
product that saves you so much time because I for if I have to do a note, for whatever amount of time, and now this is so easy, boom, 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 I get it done very quickly. I have more time with the patient. So, and for me, it's very key to give that patient the time because it's important. It's important. And yeah, you want everything to be organized. I'm a very organized person. I'm up everything at the same time, so I need everything very, very organized, and when I have it all there, you just and most people imagine, like, just starting, you're like, "Well, where am I gonna do my billing? Where am I gonna log in?" And then you have this login and that login, and everything just becomes this, like, convoluted problem, and you're just like, "Okay, so it's all there, I didn't say it was easy because you have so many patients. If I have to do all 3 evals in a day and upload, it's a lot for one person, but it makes that much easier, you know?
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate that. So what's your end goal for your business? Is it something you want to continue growing? Do you want to ever get a partner involved, hire employees? What does that look like for yourself?
For myself, yeah. It's a great question. Well, for now, I'm a type of person where I can only do whatever I can handle because I do have 2 young children. I have a 2.5 and a 3.5-year-old. So I still have to be mom and super mom. So for now where I'm at, I'm pretty good. I don't like to be very greedy. I am good. I am very happy and I'm blessed. But for the future, hopefully within the next year, 2 years, I've already had so many I've been approached by a few places to open up, to do something, it's that question of do you want to go the brick and mortar route, which such a topic, such a hot topic in every podcast or every conversation that I read. It's like, do you do brick and mortar? Do you stick to doing your own, so you, 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 it's a plus and minus. Um, but in the end of the day, you're still coming down to the same, uh, the equations come down to the same answer. It's finding your clientele. So now so you have these big franchises. Can you compete with a franchise? I I I personally can't. Can I open up a clinic and hire a few people? Sure. Or can I just keep my clinic the way it is and not a brick and mortar and hire a few people? Sure. But then that also changes and you are veered into a different direction where you are now not as much involved on the treating therapist side. Now you're involved more into just being a business owner, making sure payrolls are making sure everything's, you know, done and correct, and your therapist's notes have to be correct, and you have to make sure. So there's so much more that goes into that, which is going to take away my time as a treating therapist. Personally, I went to school to be a therapist, to be a treating therapist, and I'm a person where I I love my manual skills, and that is something I don't want to lose. So growing it a little bit more would be great. But I do like my my hands-on. I like to treat my people. I love my people. I'm a people person. So, yeah, we can grow it a little bit.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate that. And I love that you also mentioned that you're a full-time mom too, right? So being a mom is also not easy, right? So on top of launching a business, sustaining your business, you have a family as well. So and I think that's important for others to know because again, I speak to a lot of people and they just don't know how to juggle everything. They don't think it's doable. So you are living proof that it is doable, right? So you just have to take the plunge and do it. So if you don't mind, one last thing to share is what motivated you and what can motivate others to actually get out there for themselves, regardless of what type of business to open, but freeing up themselves from that time stuck from some of the clinics that have productivity and just being overworked. What would you recommend for others for motivation?
I think that if you have an idea, you definitely just take the chance. Just take the chance. It may work and it may not work, and that's fine, but you won't know. You will never know. So you have to. And a part of how, I some a lot of times I approach people is, you know, I'll just see somebody. I said, "Are you sure you might need a little help? You look like you're walking wrong. I, you know, maybe that cane could be adjusted a little bit." So, but what if I didn't speak to that person? What if I didn't just randomly come up to a random stranger and said, "Excuse me," right? So you never would have maybe got that client. You maybe would have never spoken to somebody or got information from that person. So I think you have to take the chance, of course, in a calculated way, because there's you don't want to. Some people are very, they jump into things. Things have to be in a calculated way. Your positives, your negatives, pluses, minuses, and the rest of it is really just fate. Like you never know. I never knew I was gonna be a business owner. I was like, "No way, no way. I'm coming into my cup of coffee at 8 o'clock. I will be done with my notes at 4, and I'm done with my day." And I love the socializing aspect with coworkers and this and that. And now I guess that I don't have really much of a socializing aspect because I'm on my own for a lot of the time. But, you have to see what works for you. And if you're that person, it's great because I was that person too. But you just have to try. That's all. That's it.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. So you have to take calculated risks, right? So if you want to jump into it, yeah, you'll never know, right? If you don't try, if you're kind of closed-minded and you don't want to go into business, that's fine too. But if you do want to get out there and have your own business, then you'll never know if you don't try. So I definitely love that. I love that advice. It's real advice, right? It's not sugar coated. Like you have to get out there.
It's hard. And if you think it's easy, it's not easy. It's hard. But you have to put the work in, just like anything. Anything great, you have to put the work in, you know? So, but do it. Do it. Just go in there and do it.
Love it. Thank you, Victoria, very much for sharing and being here. We appreciate you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I hope we catch up soon. And all the best on your continued success for your business. And hopefully, we could do a follow in the many years to come. So, thank you very much, everyone,
Try to
for
be
listening.
I wish you well. I wish you good health and blessings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Victoria. You too. All the best.